we're moving our service time from 10 to 10:30. For some of you, that'll make you on time. I'm not looking at anyone, I'm just looking up. Enjoying the view. For some of you, yeah. So 10:30 on the 13th, we're moving the service to 10:30 on the 13th, and that's going to be an amazing, amazing day. And we're also, last week, if you weren't here for the water baptism, I'm really sorry. What a great celebration we had last Sunday. Amazing celebration. On the 13th, we're going to baptize 3 more people on our first Sunday in the church. So, if you would like to participate in that, we dare you to join us and just be a part of that. So it'll be our first Sunday in a new building, and it'll be we're going to baptize some people, and I'm super excited about it. We still need to pray in. We're supposed to close on the building, sign the dotted line, somewhere around the 8th or 9th of November, maybe a little sooner. So we're still praying in the last $25,000 of our building down payment. I'm just so impressed. We've raised $100,000, and we're so close. We're so close. And church, we're going to be in a great position in that building in terms of equity, almost 50% equity, and it's a God thing. We're ready. So be praying about that. Be praying with us that we get that accomplished. And so 13th. So we only have one more Sunday here. Next Sunday's the last Sunday here. And then we're over there, Primrose and Grand, starting at 10:30 on the 13th. I'm going to say it over and over until we get it. And then we're going to start loving that neighborhood. And I'm super excited about that. So we've been on a journey for the last 2 weeks where I would just kind of wanted to just teach on some basics, some fundamentals of being a Christian. And each week I thought, man, I just need to spend more time on this. I need to talk about this longer, several weeks in a row. I started out talking about giving and challenged some people to a 90-day challenge that for the last 90 days of this month, if you tithe, you truly tithe, a true tithe at the end of the 90 days, if you're not better off, if you're worse off financially, church will refund your tithe. Just test God. He says we can test him. And so, I taught on giving, and I could just keep going on that. There's so much that God just wants to bless us, and it's his character to give. It's who he is, and we I don't know why, but it's the one part of his character we struggle with the most, being givers. We for some reason that's the hook that everybody wants to argue about. Just give, and he'll take care of you. And then the next week I talked about passion and just having a passion for Christ and living with passion. And passion is not necessarily an outward expression, but passion is a lifestyle. Passion is measurable. Passion is real. And I challenge you to live with passion in your walk with Christ. And then we had a great communion service. We talked about communion, and man, I could go on and on about communion and the value of it and the necessity of it. And why does nobody sit in the padded chairs? Okay, just a little rabbit trail, but I'm back. I don't know, it just happened. And then last week, water baptism. Just a great week, and we just walked through where water baptism is so important. And then again, I could take weeks and just teach on every one of those. But to be really honest with you, as I've been preparing for today, next week I'm gonna speak on fasting. So since I said that, probably half you won't show up. Like, we're not that fasting stuff's done. We're going to talk about fasting next week, and fasting is pretty cool. I did a 40-day fast once, and at the end of my 40 days, on day 39, the next day I was going to get to eat, and we're sitting at our kitchen table, and Tracy, after 39 days, says to me, this is what she said to me. She says, congratulations. I really didn't think you could do it. I said, wow, cool. So she says, what's your first meal going to be? And I sat there and I thought, and I started crying. I just started weeping. And so I wanted to tell her what my first meal was, what I was hungry for. But I was so emotional about the thought of eating, I couldn't grasp my emotions. And so I was sitting there, and I mean, I got the chin quiver, hubba hubba's going on. It's like, and I finally blurted out, pizza! Which wasn't at all what I wanted. I had no desire for pizza. But we're going to talk about fasting next week. Today I want to talk about prayer. And I really feel like, I need to pray into this for a little while, but I really feel like 2017 for City Church is going to be a year of prayer. And I need to teach on it for several weeks on prayer. There's so many misconceptions. There's so many poor teachings. There's so many lies of the enemy about the topic of prayer. There's so many inhibitions about prayer. There's inhibitions about praying out loud. There's inhibitions about I don't even know what words to use. I'm talking to God. Do I speak in King James or NIV? Yes. There's so many misconceptions about prayer, and there's such a lack of realizing the power of prayer. And so I want to spend a great deal of time on prayer, but today, so I just really today do a disservice and just do one teaching on it. If you want to follow in your own Bible or on your phone, I'm going to hit three areas really tough. I'm going to hit 2 Kings chapter 20, Matthew chapter 6, and Acts chapter 4. 2 Kings 20, Matthew 6, Acts 4 is where we're going to land for a while. When I talk about prayer, here's the deal. Here's what's interesting about prayer in Christian circles. Let me just give you some man, I'm afraid to walk forward. I feel like let me talk to you about prayer. Something interesting. If I were to say to you, every night, Monday through Friday, 7 o'clock, we're going to pray from 7 to 8 o'clock. Every night for the next week, 7 to 8 o'clock. We're going to pray. No, in fact, no, forget that. If I said next week, we're going to pray every day from 3 to 4, middle of the day, from 3 to 4 o'clock, we're going to pray for 1 hour at the church. 1 hour, 3 to 4. We're going to pray from 3 to 4. And if you come every day, Monday through Friday, on Friday, at the end of our hour of prayer, 4 o'clock, if you come every day, I will give you $100,000. I believe the house would be full. But if I didn't offer that, I believe the house would be about 10%. So prayer really is a value system. Okay, smile. Because here we don't really get prayer. We don't really value prayer like it is. If I were to say to you, give me one word that describes prayer, and something's probably coming to all of your minds. Just what's a word that describes prayer?
Communication.
Something's like powerful. Relationship. What is it? Communication.
Asking.
All these are excellent. It's not in our notes, but Isaiah 56 says, in Isaiah 56, verse 7, it says, I will give you joy when you come to the house of prayer. And when I read that this week, I wonder how many of us really think that? How many of us really define prayer as I get filled with joy? When I pray, I get filled with joy. See, I don't think we really get what prayer is. I don't think we really get the value of it, or the power of it, or the joy of it. I don't think you guys get the joy of a lot today. I keep wanting to get to my notes, but I keep having these thoughts. See, here's prayer. Let me say this about prayer. Prayer is not about changing God. Prayer is about changing me. Prayer is about changing you. And until you change, you're not going to see change. Okay? Until you change, you're not going to see change. And listen, here's the deal on change. Follow this close. It's kind of a confusing statement. Change isn't change until your change changes somebody else. I'll say it again. Change isn't change until your change changes somebody else. But you're not going to change until you spend some time in the presence of God. Knowing that the purpose of spending time with Him is so you to change, not for Him to change. Okay? I don't know if you know this or not, but God is not going to change. That's a good news. That's good news. That's a celebration. That's part of that whole joy thing. Amen. That whole joy thing. Yeah, okay. I'm going to speak on joy next week. I'm going to speak on joy. Speak on joy the whole week. I'm just going to talk about how good it is to be joyful. When we're joyful, we smile. That's what joy is. Joy is a good thing. Joy makes me happy. Joy is what I get when I pray. Solomon. And then I promise to get to my notes. Solomon recognized what I just said. Solomon recognized that prayer isn't about changing God, it's about changing himself. Solomon, who was the wisest man that's ever lived. He was the wisest man that's ever lived. He was the wealthiest man that's ever lived. Solomon's wealth still is not completely measured. His wealth is unknown. The brother had 600 wives and 400 concubines. I don't know. He had 1,000. I don't know. I had 2 daughters. I'm done. I'm good. Wisest man that's ever lived. Wealthiest man that's ever lived. Wisest and wealthiest man that's ever lived. When you read the book of Ecclesiastes, which he wrote the book of Ecclesiastes. And Ecclesiastes is really Solomon's last will and tapestry. When you read Ecclesiastes, it's almost like sitting on the porch with your grandfather and listening to your grandfather tell stories. And he kind of just goes down rabbit trails and he tells them these different stories. And at the end of about 15 minutes with your grandfather, you get up and walk away and you realize that through all his rabbit trails, he's painted this tapestry of amazing situations that happened in his life. And that's really what Ecclesiastes is. It's Solomon painting his last will and testament, and he kind of goes down these different roads, and then he comes off, and he comes back around, and in the book of Ecclesiastes, he leaves us 5 powerful value statements, the lessons he learned from both his successes and his failures. And really, Ecclesiastes is pretty simple. It seems complicated, but it's not. There's 5 value statements that Solomon leaves us that are byproducts of his successes and his failures. And that's another sermon, that's another teaching about the book of Ecclesiastes. But he teaches in there these 5 values, and I want to land on why he taught them, not so much what they are. So one of the values that he teaches is that there's no lasting value in things. There's no lasting value in possessions. Like the wealthiest man that ever lived. The guy, if he was alive today, he would have the iPad, the iPhone, the iWatch, the iCar, the iCon, he'd be the guy. He would have it all. In my opinion, he would drive a brand new 2016 Hummer. I mean, he'd have, I guess he'd be like the Tesla or something, I don't know. But the wealthiest man that's ever lived, one of his value statements is there's no lasting value in things. And I learned that in my successes and my failures. One of his value statements that he leaves us in Ecclesiastes is we all have to face the laws that govern life. Not even all the money he had could buy him out of catastrophe. His children were a mess. He said, all my wisdom, all my money, nobody gets out of the catastrophes of life. We all have to face the laws that govern life. Wisest and wealthiest man ever lived. Through his successes and his failures, left us these 5 value statements. One value statement he leaves us is that people are all that really matter. And I think probably the way that most is indelibly in each of us is if you've had a loved one pass away, there's nothing you wouldn't exchange to tell them you love them one more time. There's nothing you wouldn't trade, give up. There's no house, no car, no bank account. You wouldn't give it all for people. Wealthiest and wisest man that ever lived leaves us these amazing value statements. But how did he get them? Well, some people say, well, because he asked God for wisdom. Well, he did. but we miss the first part of his prayer. See, Solomon understood that prayer wasn't about changing God, prayer was about changing him. And so Solomon went to God, and when God said to Solomon, what would you like? I'll give you anything you want. Solomon's first prayer, and you can read it in 2 Kings 3 somewhere, Solomon says, God, I want an understanding heart so that I will have the wisdom to rule your people. An understanding heart. It before wisdom. Wisdom is predicated by the understanding heart. You following me? So Solomon said, I'm not going to change you, you change me, and then I'll walk in the wisdom of being changed. So you with me so far? Yeah. Do you see why we could spend so much time on prayer and really not even get it? Prayer, okay, so I'm to the first line of my notes. Are we ready? Prayer is the most powerful weapon in the universe. And that's a big statement. I want you to hear it. It is the most powerful weapon in the universe. Prayer is the most powerful weapon in the universe. And don't be deceived to think that prayer only works in Christian circles. There are curses being sent. There's demonic activity. There are active witch doctors. There's darkness that is sending curses, speaking curses, praying curses over people. Constantly happens all the time. Prayer is not just a Christian practice.
Yes.
Okay? Prayer is very powerful. It's very powerful. In fact, it is the most powerful weapon in the universe. In the universe. Let me show you from Scripture a picture of the power of prayer in the universe. So we can kind of wrap our mind around that statement. The most powerful weapon in the universe. 2 Kings chapter 20. We got this dude Hezekiah. Hezekiah's sick. He's sick, thinks he's going to die. This prophet, this guy who heard from God named Isaiah, has a message for Hezekiah. Shows up and he says, Hezekiah, brother, I got good news. You are going to be healed. God told me, tell you, dude, you're going to be healed. You got it going on. You're going to be healed. That's their conversation. So in 2 Kings 20 verse 8, Hezekiah, we interrupt their conversation and we eavesdrop in and we see Hezekiah asked Isaiah, what will be the sign that the Lord will heal me? And that I will go to the temple of the Lord on the third day from now. So Hezekiah's like, all right, bro, wait a minute. Like, I've been sick a long time, and these boils on my body, like, they suck. And like, you say I'm going to be healed, and I'm going to be so healed that in 3 days, I can go to the temple. Because, see, you're not allowed the temple when you're sick. When you got visible body stuff, you're cursed. You got to go out. And Hezekiah's like, you just spoke with some bold words. You just said in 3 days, I can go to the temple. Now, that's a serious healing. So how do I know that's really going to happen? Don't just shine me on there, Mr. Isaiah. I need to know. So Isaiah answered, this is the Lord's sign to you, that the Lord will do what he has promised. That's a great line. The Lord will do what he promised. Just take that home with you. The Lord will do what he promised. Okay, joy next week. I'm speaking on joy a lot. The Lord will do what he promised. Watch this. Here's Isaiah. Shall the shadow go forward 10 steps, or shall it go back 10 steps? Hezekiah says, it's a simple matter for the shadow to go forward 10 steps, said Hezekiah. Rather, have it go back 10 steps. Then the prophet Isaiah called on the Lord, he prayed, and the Lord made the shadow go back the 10 steps that had gone down on the stairway of Ahaz. Now we can read that and not even get what just happened here. So, the stairway of Ahaz was like a sundial. It was like a sundial. And where the shadow on the stairs was, told them what time of day it was. They could tell by where the shadow is on the stairs, that's what time of day it was. What we don't know from this is what cast the shadow. Was it a building or was it a pyramid? We don't know what was up. But the stairs themselves were the sundial. And so Hezekiah is talking with Isaiah. Isaiah says, bro, you're going to be healed. It's all going to be good. You're going to get to go to church on Sunday. Excited about it. 13th, 10:30. It's going to be bold. Mirage, you need to show up. Hezekiah says, that's a big, big statement. You sure it's going to happen? How do I know it's going to happen? Isaiah said, dude, the Lord does what he promised. Why are you questioning this? I should slap you, but I won't. But the Lord does what he promised, so I'm not going to slap you. So what do you want? What do you want for him to confirm he's going to do it? What do you want? You want the shadow to go down 10 steps? In other words, you want the time to change 10 steps? You want the shadow to boom, down? So Hezekiah makes a statement. Well, it's no big deal for it to go down 10 steps. In other words, like we can just stand here and wait. As soon as it goes down 10 steps, bravo, answered prayer. Hey, would that work? That's, he's thinking, that's no big deal for it to go down 10 steps. He said, no. I want the shadow to go backwards 10 steps. And Isaiah, he didn't even stutter. He goes, all right, we got that. Hey, God, this guy wants the shadow to go up 10 steps. All right, get ready. But do we realize what just happened? God just reversed. Do you get that? He took the earth and he reversed its spinning, and nobody fell off. Do you get that? Or he moved the whole universe. He moved something in the universe to make the sun go back 10 steps. Does that blow anyone else's mind? That's a... He moved the universe. He moved the universe. And nothing collided. He stopped gravity. And we didn't fly off, we didn't die. Do you get this? Does that get... Holy swear word. Is anyone with me? Does that just blow your mind? Walk around and think about that for a minute. Yeah, what I'd like to hear from God is I'd like to see him back time up 20 minutes. That was the request. Are you kidding me? This wasn't like fall back, spring forward. It was like, no, we'll just back it up 20 minutes. See how y'all... That blows my mind. He changed the flow of the universe because one guy asked. And we don't think prayer is very powerful. It is the most powerful weapon in the universe. It can alter the universe. Wow. Yeah. I don't even know how to translate that. That just blows my mind. So, does that sink in? I mean, am I the only one stuck on that? Does anybody else, does that make sense to anyone else? Because it makes no sense to me. That makes no sense. He altered the universe. Isn't it funny how we read the Bible and we just miss power? I love this thing. I love this thing. I read it, I study it, whatever. But Jesus even said, don't search this for eternity. He says, I am eternity. So we got to search this to know him, not to know this. But when we know him, we have the power that alters the universe. We have the power that raises people from the dead. I bounce all over the place, and I just want to give us a big picture of prayer. Matthew chapter 6, Jesus is talking. This is an important part of Jesus talking. Jesus says this, and when you pray, he didn't say if you pray. He didn't say, I hope y'all pray. He says, this is mandatory. When you pray. Not optional. Not a suggestion. When you pray. This is Jesus. So if Jesus says it, we probably should, take a look at it. In your Bible, it's in red letters. It makes it important. And when you pray, you must not be like the hypocrites. The hypocrites, okay, that's a poser. Just a fake. Just a poser. When you pray, you must not be like the hypocrites. You must not be a poser. What does he mean by that? Because listen, if you really are in prayer, if you really are talking to God, if you really are spending time getting to know him, there will be change in your life. And if there's no change in your life, quite frankly, you're not spending time in the presence of the King. That makes you a poser. Joy next week. This week, okay, I really want to drill home the power of prayer and how little we use it and how little we really care about it. Because Jesus says, when you pray, there should be change. And if there's not, you're a poser. They love to stand and pray in synagogues and at the street corners, that they may be seen by others. Truly, I say to you, they receive their reward. Verse 6, second time. But when you pray, go into your room, shut the door. In other words, 21st century, when you pray, shut off your phone, shut off your iPad, shut off your computer. Hello? Here's the deal. We can have conversation with God while we're building something, washing dishes, driving. Yes, absolutely. We do that with each other. But when it comes to, I just want to talk, we put that away. And Jesus says, look, when you pray, look at me. Look at me. Psalm 134 says, may we be the generation that seek his face, not his hand. Now here's the deal. If you find his hands, look up. His face will be attached. Stands to reason. But when you pray, come on, talk to me. Come on. Look at this. When you pray, go into your room, shut the door, and pray that your Father who is in secret. When someone comes up to you and whispers a secret, you dial in. You listen. There's no distraction. It's like when you're pulling up to a house at night and you're not sure if it's the right address, so you turn the radio down. Which makes total sense. Think about that. Turn that down. I don't know. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Yeah. Is that not what we do? That's what we do. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, their address lights up when I turn this down. Go in your room, shut the door, pray to your Father who's in secret. Watch this. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. I don't have time to pray, then you don't believe he'll reward you with that. I don't have time to pray, then you don't believe that he'll make sure you get done what you need to get done. He's a God who rewards. Verse 7, third time. And when you pray, do not heap up empty phrases as the Gentiles do, for they think they'll be heard for their many words. That's kind of a poor translation out of the ESV. The better said, and probably the most popular, says, when you pray, do not make vain repetition. And so some people will say, see, we're not supposed to repeat our prayers. Just pray it once and it's all good. No, the key word is vain. Vain repetition. Arrogant, prideful prayers. Okay? That's heaped up empty words. I don't have time to really go into it. But the point I want to make is Jesus says, pray. When do you pray? I expect you to pray. And I'll reward you when you pray. But stop doing stuff and pray. Because you have in your hands something that will alter the universe. All right, here we go. Acts chapter 4. What's happening in Acts chapter 4 is the follow-up of Acts chapter 3. Acts chapter 3 is Pete and Johnny are going to the temple to pray. About 3 in the afternoon, they're walking up, there's a dude at the door, and he's begging. And he's crippled, been crippled from birth, crippled his whole life, all crippled. They walk up and he asks them for money. They say, look, dude, we got no money, but what we do got, and now I love this, I love it. You watch him, when they're talking to him, Peter says to him, he goes, look at me. Look at me. And so then it says, the beggar looked at him, watch this, it's not in the notes, I don't have a lot of time to do it. But so it says, I love it. So the crippled man, it says, you can read in Acts chapter 3, the crippled man looked at him with expectation. Whoa! With expectation. So Pete and Johnny go, look, we got silver and gold, we got none. However, we know this dude Jesus, he gave us the power of all through the universe. And so, yeah, get up, walk, we dare you. It says that he got up, he went walking, leaping, jumping, and praising God. What's the point? What's up? And then I'll get to where I want to go. The point is, when he got healed that day, crippled from life, it says he went walking, leaping, jumping, praising God. How did he get healed? He got healed physically, walking, jumping. He got healed emotionally, leaping, and praising God. He got healed spiritually because he gave favor to God. He was totally healed, completely healed, not just his body, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Boom! He got touched by what? The power that alters the universe. Amen. So this dude's hopping around the church. Like, that's not behavior we like. He's hopping, woo-hoo-hoo! Did you see that? Like those two dudes. Great, I'm jumping, woo-hoo-hoo! It's like, man, white men can jump, watch. Like, he's got it going on in the temple. And it's a big old stir in the city, and they're all mad. So the Pharisees and the kings call him in. They have this court. They call Pete and John and say, get in here. We need to talk with you. What's going on? What's going on? So they step up and say, well, we realize what's going on is there's this guy Jesus, and like you guys rejected him, and you killed him, and he's like the cornerstone of everything we do. And then he rose from the dead, and he talked to us for a while, and he went back to heaven, and then he gave us this power. And so that guy was crippled, like he's not crippled anymore because of what Jesus did. Acts 4:13, we kind of pick up the rest of the conversation. So in those Pharisees, it says, now when they saw the boldness. Wow. When was the last time somebody saw us because of our boldness of Christ? They saw their boldness. They saw the boldness of Peter and John and perceived, I love this, perceived that they were uneducated, common men. They were astonished. The Bible doesn't exaggerate. They were astonished. And they recognized, get this, and they recognized they had been with Jesus. And I want to be accused of that. I want to be recognized that I've spent time with Jesus. I've done the most important thing I'm going to do today is got up early and pray. And I still, none of you, when you walked up today, went, dude, bro, you've been with Jesus. I want that. So we jump to verse 18. So between here and verse 18, they send Pete and John out of the room. They go, what are we going to do? These guys are crazy. But that one guy's healed. I know, here's what we do. Call him in, tell him to shut up. Don't talk about it anymore. So they call him in. Verse 18. So they called him and charged him not to speak or teach at all in the name of Jesus. Well, Peter was kind of an arguing guy, so we argued for a while. And they sent him out. We jumped to verse 31. And when they sent them out, they went and found all their buddies that were hanging out. They went to the church. Went to the church. Watch. And when they prayed, the place in which they were gathered together was shaken. The place was shaken. Now, that whole, what does that really mean is again a time-consuming part of this. But what it meant was they didn't hold on to anything. They let it all go. Their offenses gone. Their fears gone. Their possessions gone. And we're going to see what we read that and think, yeah, well, the building shook. Well, maybe it did. I don't know. I do know that what we are about to read is fruit of being shaken. And I don't know. I've been pastoring a long time. I have yet to leave on a church maybe it's my bad. And have the community go, oh, this place is different because you guys got together and shook it up. The place was shaken. They were filled with the Holy Spirit and continued to speak the word of God with boldness. I find it interesting that they were speaking with boldness and they were told, don't speak with boldness. So they went and prayed for more boldness. Now watch this. Now the full number of those who believed were of one heart and soul, and no one said that any of the things that belonged to him was his own, but they had everything in common. Watch the fruit of prayer. And with great power, the apostles were giving a testimony to the resurrection of the Lord. The resurrection of the Lord Jesus, and great grace was upon them all. Look at verse 34. What a powerful statement. There was not a needy person among them. Now here's the deal with that. Short teaching. Here. This culture, there was such a freedom to be transparent that people actually could say, I have a need. They weren't embarrassed by it. They weren't ashamed of it. They weren't chastised for it. They were treated, their need was met. Today, church isn't like that. I doubt that we could say people in this room don't have a need. And I think part of it is we haven't created a culture where it's safe to say, look, I'm a mess. I'm a total mess. Like, I need some help here. So part of every need being met is creating a culture where it's safe to say I have a need that needs to be met. At City Church, we have got to create that culture. And that culture is only going to happen through prayer. Because our own biases and our own judgments and our own selfishness will not create a culture where it's safe to say, I am a freaking mess, help me. Okay? There wasn't a need among them. For as many as were owners of land or houses sold them and brought the proceeds of what was sold and laid it at the apostles' feet and were distributed to each as any needed. Now that's a big, powerful statement right there. Everything they had, they brought laid at the apostles' feet and were distributed as they had need. Joseph, this other guy, he had a field. I'll wrap this up. And he sold the field, and it says at the end of verse 37, and he laid the money at the apostles' feet. So what's going on here? Here's what's going on here. There was no, and okay, after I make this statement, let me make a balancing statement before you judge me for this statement. All right? Okay. You all right?
Yes.
I'll make a balancing statement after I make the next statement. Maybe. What's going on here is the whole church was so in prayer and so watching God move and so determined to see that every need was met and so concerned about others and no concern for themselves. They brought all their offerings and tithes and above and beyond. They came and they gave it to the apostles and said, just deal with it. I don't even care. Just deal with it. We don't do that today. We're like, yeah, if I'm going to give the church $35, I want to know exactly where it went. Like, once a year, we're going to have us a business meeting. We're going to walk through that budget now, aren't we? And I understand, okay, balancing statement. I understand accountability. I understand the need for accountability. I understand stewardship. I understand appropriate, integral practices. Okay? I get that. And that those are in place. But if our heart isn't, just take it. And I got some more. I'll bring it next week. We probably haven't spent time with Jesus. Amen. Joy, joy, joy. Okay. I'm going to quit soon. And then I promise. I got two more. I got to forgive me. Prayer's big. Acts 9:10. Saul going around killing people. He's the ISIS of the day. Whacking people. Getting licenses from the government to go whack people. Put them in prison. Kill their kids. Hold the coats from people while they kill other people. Saul's like an idiot. He gets knocked off his donkey. And he goes blind. God talks to this dude named Ananias. And he says, dude, listen. There was a certain disciple at Damascus named Ananias. And to him the Lord said in a vision, Ananias, and he said, Here I am, Lord. So the Lord said to him, Arise, go to the street called Straight, and inquire at the house of Judas. I love this. For one. Called Saul of Tarsus. Look at the only qualifying statement. This is all that qualifies him. He's praying. It's the only qualifier. He's praying. But that's ISIS. That's a guy. Yeah, he's praying. I don't even know if he's praying. He's praying. Yeah, but he killed him. He's praying. It's the only qualifier. That's powerful. That's huge. Yeah, go see that ISIS guy. Why? He's praying. Would we obey that? Luke 11:1. I'm trying to rip through these. One day Jesus was praying in a certain place. Now let me say this about our daily habits. And I mean this. If you don't have a certain time and a certain place, you don't have a consistent prayer life. I'll just tell you that right now. If you don't have a certain time and a certain place, you do not have a consistent prayer life. Jesus had a certain place. He had a certain time and he had a certain place. I promise you. He had a certain time and a certain place. How do we know that? Talk about this. Last Supper, Judas leaves the room, right? Judas goes to betray him. Remember that story? Goes out, betrays Jesus, leaves the upper room. They finish up. Jesus says, let's go. At the night, dark, let's go. How did Judas know where to find him? Because Jesus had a time and a place. If you don't have a time and a place, you're probably not consistent. One day Jesus was praying in a certain place. When he finished, one of his disciples said to him, Lord, watch this powerful statement. Don't miss what's in here. Don't misinterpret this. Lord, teach us to pray. What didn't they say? They didn't say teach us how to pray. They already had the how. They memorized prayers while they were little kids in the Hebrew world. They already knew the how. They saw a connection between Jesus and his power and said, teach us to do that. Teach us to pray, not how. Do you get that? Big difference. Teach us to pray. And that's where Jesus goes into what we call the Lord's Prayer, which really shouldn't be called the Lord's Prayer because the Lord didn't sin, but in that prayer, we ask for forgiveness of sins. So it's a little mixed up. It's really not, but that's where he says, Our Father who art in heaven, that prayer, which is a whole other sermon. As it came to him, he said, teach us to pray. I'm going to wrap up with these last two statements, I promise. I think oftentimes we leave our prayer times frustrated. I think we leave them unfulfilled. I think we leave them maybe even angry because we didn't get what we expected or thought we deserved. And I wonder, how many times does God feel the same way when we leave our prayer time? Let me put it to you like this. If life was a box, if we had this box, if life was a box, it doesn't matter how long you live in the box, 5 seconds, 5 years, whatever. Life is a box. And at the end of your life, you're out of the box. Out of the box. And if you were told today, you have 1 week left in this box. Next Sunday, it's over. What would that do to your prayer life? Would you stop praying for things? Probably. Would you be sure that you spend time in prayer for those that you love? Probably. Would you be more deliberate about that prayer life? Probably. And I don't want to use a fear tactic or a guilt tactic or any of that to get you to pray because that would be really wasteful. Because then I would totally annihilate what they said in the act and there was great grace on them all. So you can't have great grace and guilt in the same conversation. My heart is that you would respond to great grace. Say, I got to have that great grace. Where did I get that great grace? I spend time with my Father in secret. When I spend time with my Father in secret, He rewards me. And those rewards can alter the universe. Prayer is amazing. That land, is that land, we're going to wrap up. Let's pray in a second here. And I'm sorry to end so abruptly. I just realized I have like 14 pages of notes and I need to stop. I do want to challenge you this week. I want to challenge you. We're going to pray a radical. I don't know what your current prayer life is. I can't assume on anyone, and I won't assume on anyone. I don't know what it currently is. But I want to challenge you, and I want to challenge you. It's a big, big challenge. I want you to respond to me. Send me an email. Send me a Facebook message. Text me. Call me. Put a note on my car. Come help me move stuff. It's my challenge. I'm serious, I want this. But this week, you will take no less than 15 minutes shutting your door and being in secret. And I want you to tell me, hey, yeah, here's where I'm going to do it. Here's. And sometimes in secret, you can just be silent. Let me just tell you, you don't need to talk. Just sit and listen. He's got a lot to say. But this week, please don't let today's message fall on deaf ears. And I know it's kind of a long one, and there was kind of a teaching more than preaching, and I know that it can create emotions, and let's pursue great grace. Let's be a church that deliberately pursues great grace. And how do we do that? We all come to one place, not house, one place, and that's the secret place. Okay? So I want to hold you accountable. And, of course, I'm not going to run y'all down. So I want to hear from all of you. There's 15 minutes you can count on. You know this 15 minutes I'm in my secret place this week, every day. Okay? Will you do that? See a lot of nodding heads. Watch this. Is there anyone here that will not do that? Well, I thought. Let's pray and get out of here. Stand.